Shepherd Falter Nash. Now we are passionate about horses and horse racing here in Ireland, and we have Megan Scully here to tell us all and to explain why, Megan.
Well, look, there's a lot to it, but I guess to give the reason why I'm probably here and the reason I'm talking about horses is my own connection.
Yeah.
So how to make a long story short, my father was very involved in show jumping, and he represented Ireland at that level quite a few times, but unfortunately due to health complications when he was 21 he lost his kidney. He had Goodpasture syndrome, so he basically wasn't able to embark on his dream of representing Ireland with the Army Equitation School at the time. But after that he decided that he wanted to fulfil his dream and continue horse riding, and one day he was in the RDS and there was a high jump competition happening the following day, and he happened to see this horse that I believe was bred in Sligo in the warm-up arena, and he said, right, I want that horse and I want to enter that competition. And everyone's like, well, firstly, you don't know the horse, secondly, you're not really well enough to go and take on the high jump. Anyways, he was a fairly stubborn man and got his own way. He got the horse, went in the next day, and just as he was going into the arena, I decided, actually, do you know what? I'm going to lose the saddle. I'm going to do this bareback. So he went into the Simmons Court at the time and he took on the high jump, and at the time it was poles. So whereas now at the RDS, you'd see the puissance wall, you know, the big solid wall. Well, this was poles. And he went in, and for his last round, and as he was coming over the jump, he could hear, so as he was airborne, which you would have seen in the photo, he could hear poles clattering, and the horse was Drumlogan. But as he landed and all four legs hit the ground, the whole arena erupted. And suddenly he was like, wait a second. And he said he turned and looked back, and lo and behold, the jump was still standing, 6'7.5", and he's in the Guinness Book of World Records for jumping the highest jump bareback at the time. This book has been fairly, as you can see,
much loved, Megan.
Much loved. This has travelled all over with me. So from that, I guess I was always involved in horses, and then on top of that, and previous to that, back in 1973, my late grandfather, Mark Scully, who would have been a well-known vet in around South Galway and North Clare, along with Christy Lee, who's also very well known in the horse racing circles. They had Lisabel, that mare, and in the hurdle in Galway, well, she went in and won it. And the great thing about that race was every local person in that area had something on her, because it was the local vet and it was the Lees and very well-known families. So everyone had a great time. And there's a story that on the way home, there may have been a pit stop into Clarenbridge, and Lisabel may have made a visit into the local pub with all her fans.
Amazing. Megan, for you, horses is very much in your blood, but for us as Irish people, we too are very passionate about horse racing.
Absolutely. And the funny thing about horse racing is, even when I was doing more research, like this dates back to 3 AD. Racing horses dates back that far. So, you know, it's been in our DNA for all our lives. And in the 17th century as well, it was hugely popular. And in the 18th century, that's when you kind of steeplechase and flat racing start to come into it. And just going to maybe give a bit of an explanation for people who don't know about horse racing. There's flat racing, which is no jumps at all. So it's basically as fast as you can around the course. There's hurdles, which are kind of smaller jumps. And then there is steeple national hunt chasing, which is the bigger jumps. So when you watch on TV, you'll see the difference. Yeah,
and there's a big connection, of course, with steeplechasing and Cork as well, because the first steeplechase was here in Cork between Buttermint and Doneraile, I think, was it?
Yeah, but this now is from Doneraile to Buttermint, steeple to steeple.
Yeah.
It didn't matter how you got there, you just had to get there.
Yeah.
Oh.
You had to be the first person there. So you had horses going through fields, rivers, everything and anything to be the fastest person to go from steeple to steeple. So that's how steeple chasing began.
Yeah.
From here in Cork. The Cork people will love that now.
Oh, they certainly will. well, you can claim that one now.
I know, I'm like, Megan, this is fantastic. Another string to our bow for Cork.
Well, there you go. And then not only from that then, so from that end onwards, it just grew legs and became more and more popular. And it went so far as the World War I actually saw an increase in horse racing here in Ireland, because a lot of the English horses had to go to war. So it meant that there was racing still happening over here. So people started to come over from the UK because they were like, they wanted to still watch the racing. So even though there was war going on, they still wanted to get their sport and their fun. And then actually in 1916 in the Rising, that also had a part to play. There was racing on in Fairyhouse, and a lot of the RIC members actually went out to Fairyhouse that day to watch the racing. So it was like an opportunity then was seized.
Yeah, and sure, they still have the Irish Grand National on Easter Monday all the time.
Yeah, so Fairyhouse takes place every Easter. And actually my mother said she had me there when I was 4 months old. So, you know, it's a great family day out racing. I think that's what people need to know. It's not just for people who are into horses. It's for everyone.
Yeah, we've had some really remarkable horses here down through the years, though, Megan, haven't we?
Oh, I'm very excited about this now. So I was doing some research for you because, you know, there's so many horses synonymous with horse racing, and the first one I have to go to is Dawn Run.
Yeah.
You know, I think people who never heard about horse racing have heard of Dawn Run. Some people might have that famous photograph up in their mantelpiece with the 3 horses.
Yeah.
Arkle, Dawn Run and Desert Orchid. We've one at home as well, and I just grew up knowing these names because they were absolutely incredible. Now, Dawn Run herself, she won the Christmas Hurdle, she won the Irish Champion Hurdle, the French Champion Hurdle, the Cheltenham Gold Cup. So to give an example of the hurdles, so the English Champion Hurdle is at Cheltenham, the Irish Champion Hurdle is at Leopardstown, and then the French Champion Hurdle is on in the Auteuil in France. So for a horse to win all 3 is incredible. It's fairly unheard of as well, and it's kind of what you want as an owner, trainer or jockey, or as a horse. You want to win everything. So she went on then, and we actually have a clip of Dawn Run, I believe, but this was from Punchestown. So as I mentioned, she was just such an incredible horse, and then she went on again to win the Cheltenham Gold Cup, and then very sadly, and unfortunately this happens in horse racing, she, at the tender age of 8, she did fall over a hurdle and she didn't get back up. But everyone still remembers Dawn Run because of the legend she was, and to have that name after only being 8 years old. Not many horses get to that level of stardom.
Yeah,
there she is.
She's left an incredible legacy, hasn't she, with those kind of achievements.
And still not going at full pelt there.
No.
Yeah, still on the bridle, as they say.
Still on the bridle.
That's what they say, yeah.
Look at that.
Flying over the jumps.
Great jumper as well, like.
Oh, magical. And, you know, Dawn Run would have had such a great career after that, and she probably would have gone into breeding as well. But unfortunately, no, she suffered her fate that fateful day.
Yeah. It's amazing how close the crowd were that time, or how close the crowd were allowed to be to the race that
Health
time.
and safety might have been a little bit different back then.
It's a small bit different now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we go, though, I have to let you know, talk about one more famous horse that we all know and love. This is Arkle. I picked this up in a charity shop the other day for 25p. It's from I think it was printed in 1968.
Yeah.
This little book. Now, Arkle. The reason we're talking about Arkle is because Arkle not only was famous, Arkle was the people's horse. Arkle became known as himself.
Yeah.
So but that's how people used to talk about Arkle. He was an absolute character. Now, I just want to name some of the races he won just to give an idea of how good this horse was. The Cheltenham Gold Cup in 64, 65 and 66. The King George in 65. The Irish Grand National. The Hennessy Gold Cup in 64 and 65. The Leopardstown Chase in 64, 65 and 66.
My God.
What a horse.
This is an absolutely illustrious career from a horse, and he actually had the highest record for steeplechasing, and the record has not been broken yet. This is from the 60s, and I can tell you now, in this day and age, horses have all sorts of training and care, and horses are bred to run and get faster. It's like human athletes, you know, that's the way they're looked after. So for Arkle still to hold that record is just mind-blowing. But interesting enough for Arkle, so Arkle got an injury at Kempton Park and actually was beaten. Now, Arkle was so famous and popular that crowds would rush to see this horse race. That's how special he was. But unfortunately, he broke his leg going over one of the jumps, but managed to stay going just because I think he was so obsessed with winning.
My God.
And they actually, when they landed and they realised this is serious, they got, the Duchess of Westminster owned Arkle at the time, and they got a vet to come over from Ireland because they were like, no, this Arkle needs his vet. So the vet came over, they put a cast on the horse, and they decided he had to stay in Kempton for 6 weeks because they wanted him to rest. Now, this would probably not today be medical advice, but he was given, as part of his medicine, a bottle of Guinness every single day.
Wow.
And that's what Arkle lived
That's why
on.
he was an Irish vet then.
Yeah. So that was what Arkle got. So Guinness actually gifted him bottles of Guinness to help him with his recovery. Came back to Ireland and was living on a farm with sheep, had a pet donkey that was his best friend. He was just an incredible horse, and he had a lovely life on the farm after he retired. And as well, he just was such a character that people used to send fan mail to Arkle, and they put on the letter Arkle, Ireland. And the postman would get it. But he got so much fan mail because he was just such a popular and stunning horse.
Megan, we've about a minute left. I was telling Ciara later on, I showed her a piece of See the Stars, one of my own favourite horse. What a horse.
Oh, See the Stars was another incredible horse. Again, loads of great winning, and we mentioned another horse earlier as well, was Yates that we're talking about. Yates is also at See the Stars, and Yates went to stud, which they're having a great life post retirement from the track.
Living it up, Megan.
And we're seeing a lot of their offspring now, that's what horse racing is all about, because horse racing actually started with 3 stallions when you go go way back into the record books.
Yeah.
So every racehorse that we see today comes from these 3 stallions. But these lads now, they're having a good time at stud.
Yeah.
As I said, their offspring we now get to see. Yates, of course, we've got Noble Yates, we've got
Noble
Flowing
Yates,
Porter,
yeah.
some incredible horses. I also want to give mention to one of my own favourite horses, Istabrack, who's also retired, who I love.
Very famous name.
Yeah, so some great names there that we all fall in love with. Like Honeysuckle just had her first foal after retiring.
Yeah.
Some massive names. Hewick is one to watch now as well. These are all the people's horses. These are ones that the fans flock just to see.
And to make a few bob out of them as
Yeah,
well.
and what a retirement
What
as
a
well.
retirement.
Well, not a bad retirement now.
Thanks so much,
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
Au revoir.
That's it for today. Our competition winner will be announced on Wednesday's show.
Now we're back tomorrow and we have the Glamour Lounge as well. It's back showing us how to get Margot Robbie magnificent bangs. What's that?
Oh, it's your hair, Dahi.
Your bangs, that your friend or something?
Yeah,
No?
your friend. He'll be rocking a fabulous look tomorrow. And renowned singer-songwriter Jack Lukeman stops by for a chat. See you tomorrow at 3:30.
It's all fun.